All right, today we're jumping into one of the most intense, powerful moments in all of Scripture, the climax of the book of Job. This is where, after 37 long chapters of human debate, everyone falls silent because God finally speaks.
So think of this as a 5-act play. We're going to start with the last-ditch human effort to make sense of suffering. And then, boom, the divine intervention that just blows everything out of the water.
So, first up, we've got Elihu. He's the youngest of Job's friends, and he's making his final, really passionate argument for God. Now, here's what makes Elihu's take so different. He's not just saying, you sinned, so now you're suffering. No, he suggests that suffering can actually be a form of divine discipline. It's like God's way of getting your attention, of opening the ear to discipline, to pull you back from a worse fate. So Elihu's argument really boils down to this. God is perfectly just, and sometimes suffering has a corrective purpose. It's like a test. If you listen up and turn back to him, you'll find restoration. But if you don't, well, he says you're choosing your own destruction. The big idea? God's greatness is just way beyond what we can get our heads around.
Yeah, so the really crucial point from Elihu is that maybe hardship isn't just a penalty. Maybe it's a rescue mission. It's God stepping in to get our attention and pull us back from the brink before it's too late.
Okay, so let's jump into the next chapter, because this is where things get really cinematic. Elihu stops philosophizing and starts pointing at the sky because a storm is literally brewing on the horizon.
He's using this storm as a live demonstration, right? He's telling Job, hey, stand still for a second and just consider the amazing things God does. It's basically like him saying, Job, my friend, if you can't even explain how a cloud stays up there or where lightning comes from, what makes you think you can understand how God runs the entire universe? And this quote, this is the perfect overture for what's about to happen. Elihu's words about God's terrible majesty are literally the last words from any human before God himself takes center stage. So Elihu wraps up the entire human side of this debate by basically saying, look, we can't even find the right words when we're faced with God's greatness. And with that, all the human arguments are officially off the table. The stage is set. Not for another debate, but for a real revelation. And here it is, the moment the entire book has been leading up to. After 37 long chapters of human beings talking about God, God himself shows up. What an entrance, right? And notice, God doesn't give Job a list of reasons for his suffering. He doesn't explain anything. Instead, he just cuts right through all the noise and challenges the very idea that these guys with their limited knowledge could ever hope to explain his ways. So God just launches into this barrage of questions. And they're not questions he wants answers to. He's trying to completely reset the conversation. Where were you, Job, when I laid the foundations of the earth? He's essentially asking, were you my co-architect on Project Universe? Did I run the blueprints by you? It's a question meant to immediately show Job just how vast the gap is between the creator and the created. And he doesn't stop. He goes from the cosmos to the weather, asking Job about the treasures of the snow and the treasures of the hail. He's pointing out his total control over a creation that Job can't even begin to wrap his mind around. He's talking about the physics of light, the water cycle, the orbits of stars. It's just this incredible display of infinite, complex wisdom. You see what's happening here? The whole point is this massive shift. The book stops asking why and starts asking who. God is reminding Job of who is in charge. He's basically saying, hey, the one who choreographs every single star in the sky, you can probably trust him with the details of your life. All right, God's cosmic tour isn't over yet. Now he brings it down from the stars to the animal kingdom. And he's going to use these untamed creatures to make his point even clearer. I love this part. It really drives home that God's world exists completely apart from what humans need or control. He's asking Job, hey, did you set the wild donkey free? Can you get a wild ox to plow your field? And of course, the answer is a big, fat no. These animals are out there doing their thing for God's purposes, which is a pretty humbling reminder that the universe doesn't actually revolve around us. So you've got the war horse thundering into battle. You've got the ostrich, which seems kind of goofy but operates on God's design. The soaring hawk. All of these are examples of a world that runs on divine wisdom, not human logic. It's wild, it's beautiful, and it is completely 100% out of Job's control.
Yeah, this chapter is just a massive lesson in perspective, isn't it? It reminds us that God's got this huge, grand project going on, and it's way, way bigger than any one person's life or problems. True humility starts when we see ourselves as part of that vast cosmic picture.
Okay, so after that, this incredible, overwhelming tour of divine power, the spotlight swings back to Job. After all that, how is he possibly going to respond?
And God puts it to him directly. He says, all right, you wanted to argue with me. You wanted your day in court. After all this, do you still want to be my instructor? And this is the turning point of the entire book. Job is just silenced. His demands for justice are gone, replaced by this stunned, humble silence. He finally gets how small he is, not because God condemned him, but because he's finally seen just how big God is. This is where his healing really begins. But wait, God isn't done yet. He throws down another challenge. Basically, you think you can run the world and defeat evil? Go ahead, try. And then he points to the behemoth, this massive creature with bones like iron bars. It's one last powerful symbol of the immense gap between the creator and the created. So Job's first response here shows that he finally gets it. He didn't get the simple, neat answers he was demanding for his suffering. No, he got something so much better. A direct, overwhelming encounter with God himself. And that's what he truly needed all along. So it leaves us with this incredible question, right? When life hits you with things you just can't understand, when the why questions go unanswered, is an encounter with the one who holds all the answers, is that enough? What these chapters show us is that the answer to our deepest suffering isn't some formula or explanation. It's a person,